Hey guys, this is Darren with the Garrison Public Affairs Office, and today we are sitting down with representatives from the Army Substance Abuse Program as well as the Better Opportunities for Single Soldiers Program, and we are talking alcohol awareness as we come up for Alcohol Awareness Month. That and a lot more on this week's episode of the Great Big Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back. We got quite a panel arranged today. We got one person you may have heard before on this podcast, and we also have some representatives as well from the Army Substance Abuse Program. So why don't you go and introduce yourself?
My name is Kenya King. I am with the Army Substance Abuse Program. I am one of the Employee Assistance Program coordinators on the installation. And as part of our program, we have a comprehensive program that helps employees resolve personal problems. And oftentimes that does involve alcohol, drugs, things of that nature. And what we try to do is offer the least restrictive amount of counseling that we can to individuals coming into the program so that they can efficiently and effectively get back to the workplace and not reduce any type of workplace productivity, all while maintaining confidentiality with those individuals.
What a great program. And ma'am, why don't you introduce yourself as well?
My name is Lanika Harris, and I'm also with the Army Substance Abuse Program, and I am a prevention coordinator. And my role is to go out to the units to educate and provide prevention for the units and the brigades.
Well, thank you, Lanika, for joining us. And there's also a familiar person you may have heard on this podcast before. Why don't you go introduce yourself as well?
My name is Corporal Candace Pritchard Harmon, and I am your very own president of the Fort Cavazos Better Opportunities for Single Soldiers Program.
Well, awesome, y'all. Well, it's great to have you on the Great Big Podcast, and we're talking a very important subject because it is a subject that is often brought up when in regards to military service, but alcohol awareness. So, Kenya, Lanika, can you tell us what the ASAP program does?
Thank you, sir. The ASAP program, our job is to provide prevention, like I mentioned before, educating soldiers, commanders, and keeping them informed about the trends that are taking place around here at Fort Cavazos, and not just around on Fort Cavazos, but also within the surrounding communities, because the community has a lot of vape shops, so it's our job to make sure we educate the leaders and the soldiers about the trends around here.
Can you get anything to add to that as well?
No, just a part of the EAP program. We kind of ride off of our partners in crime, if you will. One of the things that we do with the civilians, the retirees, and family members on the installation is we provide that education as well. We go a little bit further into counseling with individuals that may be experiencing those problems. And one of the things that we do is we refer to outside agencies so that those individuals can try to get the help that they need with whatever substance abuse problem that they may be experiencing.
Yeah, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I spent 13 years active duty and multiple times as a company commander. And there was times that I saw, soldiers and soldier service members, families, they went down a path that they didn't want to necessarily go down and maybe not even be able to control themselves. But they saw it as they couldn't get help. They couldn't reach out and seek that guidance or seek that assistance because they felt they would go on a tracker somewhere or they would be somehow looked at differently within their service, whether they were a civilian, a soldier, or a spouse or family member. So walk us through some of the preventive measures that ASAP, when you refer to ASAP from an actual preventive standpoint, not a reactionary standpoint from the UCMJ and or other processes that we have in the Army.
What we often ensure the soldiers are informed about, one in particular is self-referral. I do want to bring that up because many soldiers are unaware what self-referral looks like and that it actually exists. They often wait till it becomes command referred, but self-referral is the preferred method that if the soldier realizes there is a substance abuse issue, whether it be drugs or alcohol, that I can self-refer because you're basically saying, I need help. It's a form of rehabilitation saying, I want to save my career. I would like to receive the help. But oftentimes they wait till it becomes command refer. So we truly push that and ensure the soldiers know you can self-refer. It's not going to go against your career. It's just a way of saying, I need help. I would like to stay in the community, in the Army.
And it's very important as a preventative tool. Commanders and soldiers as a whole, they have a lot of programs available to them that ultimately is designed to prevent bad things from happening. And I think there is that stigma that if you do reach out for help, it used to be the stigma, it used to be mental health, right? Back in the old school Army, hey, I can't get help for mental health because then I won't get the orders I want. I won't be able to be a drill sergeant. I won't be able to go do the things I like to do. And I think the one thing we kind of don't look at is substance abuse as well, because it does afflict. It's afflicted our military since the dawn of our country, and it's always consistently been an issue with soldiers and service members and in families returning home from very tough situations. So aside from alcohol, Lanika, you mentioned the vaping. I know that's a big trend right now that people think somehow it's better than tobacco, but it really isn't. Tell us a little bit about that. What's some trends you've seen in the Central Texas community that impacts the soldiers and family members here at Fort Cavazos?
That's a great question. One of the biggest trends that we're seeing is a product called Delta 8. Many soldiers, and it's interesting you mentioned with cigarettes, and I often ask the soldiers when I'm down at the units in the footprints, do soldiers still smoke cigarettes? And most of them say no, they're vaping. And Delta 8 is the primary vape that they're using. And these smoke shops around here are offering to the soldiers. But most of them do not realize that Delta 8 is actually prohibited because it's a part of CBD and hemp. And any product that has CBD, THC, and hemp is prohibited for all service members. So I educate them on that and let them know it is prohibited. And it falls upon Article 92, Uniform Code of Military Justice. So that they look at it as being cool. They look at it as being trendy and probably inexpensive for most of them, so they go out and buy it. So I make sure that as a prevention coordinator, my job is to truly educate and let the commanders know that your soldiers are utilizing this product. And if it contains CBD and hemp in it, yes, it is prohibited. So that's why I want to ensure all soldiers are aware. Yes, they're offering it, but please note, it is prohibited as long as you're wearing that uniform.
Yeah, I've actually seen that personally. Before I crossed over to be a DA civilian, as a company commander, I had a soldier that inadvertently purchased something that had a derivative of THC, and little did he know that it had THC in it. But I think he quickly realized when he reread the packaging. By that time, it was already too late. The minute he walked out of the store, he was already vaping it, and he did come up hot on a drug screening, and we had a drug screening that Monday right after he had purchased it. He actually disclosed to me and said, hey, here's the receipt. This is where I bought it from, and I think I might be in trouble. And that was before it even happened. It went all the way up to the brigade commander. I recommended that he be retained and just exercise a little more caution when reading labels. He fully self-disclosed and said, hey, I think I made a mistake. And looking at his levels of THC that were reported, it was extremely low. So obviously it wasn't a regular habitual user type scenario. But that soldier could have been in a very different scenario had he continued to use that product and not truly been aware of what he actually purchased.
Yeah, that's a good point that you make. And I think individuals, we have to educate them on the dangers of using THC. And one of the things that I teach in one of the classes here on the installation is individuals don't realize that those products aren't regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. So while it may say on the package there's 0.03% THC, it can actually be much more than that. There was actually one study that was done, and out of 84 CBD products that were tested, 69% of them came back with levels higher than which was on the label. So that's the dangers of it. You don't know what you're really going to get because it's not regulated. And then going back to what you were saying about the vaping, in my experience, what I see here on the installation, I have a lot of parents that may be coming in saying that their child is vaping. They don't know why they came up hot when they had to take a test at school or something of that nature. They're unaware of the things that are out there as well. They don't know that the vaping products can have THC in it. And then there's also other products, candy, chips. If you're not careful, you have to really read that package because a lot of them has it right on there that they contain THC. And so not only do we have to educate the soldiers and DA civilian family members, we have to go all the way down to the children as well because they need to be made aware because there's so many dangerous products out there that can cause harm to those individuals.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's quite. I actually had another soldier that went to a party, and he didn't realize that a bunch of civilians were at this party, and they had decided to bring some things that were laced with certain substances. And he felt these are homemade edibles. It wasn't even a purchased product, and he did not realize it. And then by the time those personnel realized what they were giving him, like, oh man, he's in the Army, and he might have a problem at the next random drug screening. So really, I think that's a lesson for everything that we buy. I mean, you read the label. I mean, from anywhere from supplements to food products. I mean, you got to make sure, because people that have allergies, they do it all the time because they don't want to have an allergic reaction. But it's the same thing with a professional career like the United States military or others, for DA civilians and other folks that call it a great place home. You got to take caution with what you buy and the products that you use.
Absolutely.
And we talked vaping. We've touched on alcohol. What other services does ASAP provide? I know there's a stigma, and it's identifying either the use and abuse of prescription medications, various types of narcotics, whether they're illicit or not. What trends have we seen with those patterns here at the Great Place?
Some of the trends that that I've been seeing lately with commanders reaching out is Blue Lotus. A lot of individuals never heard of Blue Lotus.
You can add me to that list right now, yeah.
I've been getting so many commanders reaching out, contacting our office in the drug testing center, trying to get guidance on what are we to do with soldiers testing positive for Blue Lotus. So Blue Lotus is an Egyptian tea that can be used as a tea, but most soldiers are utilizing it in a liquid form and drinking it or vaping it, and it's causing euphoric feelings, and even to the point they're walking around in a zombie state. So commanders are very concerned, and they're reaching out to our organization. How can we combat this? What points of education tools can we utilize to ensure these soldiers are aware? Because again, it's affecting the bodies and affecting the mind state. So we want to capture this before it actually gets out of control. So that's one trend that we're seeing a lot of, like the Delta 8 as well. So we continue to stay on top of that. So those are the primary ones, along with the gummies, like Mr. King mentioned, the edibles, and those are the common things these vape shops are selling to the soldiers. So we try to stay on top of those. But Blue Lotus right now, we're seeing an uptick, if you will, with soldiers utilizing this product, and it's prohibited as well.
Yeah, it's again, it goes back to things you don't know, because again, like before the Army, I spent 9 years in law enforcement, and I've never heard of any of those things. So it's very important that we stay basically in tune with how this market is changing, especially with a scourge that's going across the United States and across the world, is the scourge of fentanyl. Fentanyl is starting to appear in things that routinely don't have fentanyl. And so it's very, very a tale of caution, if you will, for those that are listening. Sometimes when you buy these products, especially if you're buying them illicitly, you don't know what you're getting. It could be exactly what they promise you, or it could be something that's more illicit, like lacing with fentanyl, because it is a stronger type of form of narcotic, or any other synthetic that can cause some very, very severe health issues and many times has resulted in death.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very important that we educate individuals. When I grew up, the drugs that you saw then, you could easily identify them. Nowadays, it's very hard to identify the difference between a drug and a piece of candy. And so that's why it's really getting down to the teenagers and our younger children, because if adults can't identify it, there's a good chance the kids can't identify it either.
Exactly.
So we have to be able to educate those individuals. If you see something, someone's trying to give you something at a party, you may not want to take that. If you didn't bring it with you, you don't really trust that individual, it's probably best not to take that, for the simple fact you don't know what you're going to get. And we've seen it hundreds of times on movies. We know that's kind of made up, but we see it in the real world where individuals take something, and next thing you know, they're gone, they're dead. And no one knows what's going on. And then later they find out, I gave my buddy this, I didn't know what it was. And we want to try to prevent those things. And the education is the key piece, showing people what it looks like, making them aware of what they need to look out for, and even what to do potentially if someone does encounter that, just in an effort to try to save individuals' lives and keep individuals from being hurt by these harmful drugs.
Exactly. And Ken, I think you brought a great point, is that, again, you may not even be like what we normally envision a drug deal happening, like in an alleyway somewhere or a hand-to-hand exchange in a car. It is, you're at a party. You see a bowl of candy. You see something that looks innocuous, but at the end of the day, you start feeling things that you haven't felt before, and you can't identify what it is, and all of a sudden you're being resuscitated by an EMS personnel, or you're in the hospital, or worse, you are no longer on the living status. It's scary. It is very, very scary. We've seen even incidences in law enforcement and medical practitioners coming into inadvertent contact with something that's laced with fentanyl and having cardiac arrest. It's so dangerous that we've even modified some of the safety, equipment that we use both as first responders, both in law enforcement and the medical field. It is a scary time. And with that, I'd like to transition to Corporal Pritchard Harmon, because I think this stigma highly affects, although anyone can fall victim to misidentifying or falling victim to accidentally ingesting, or as well as intentionally ingesting these substances. What are you guys seeing at Boston? What are you guys doing to educate soldiers about these dangers?
Very much so. And one thing, the Army Substance Abuse Program has been one of our pivotal partners since the start of the program in 1989. And the biggest reason why is because while we serve all enlisted officers, single soldier categories, our target demographic is 18 to 24 years of age, single soldiers living in the barracks. And that, ironically, is also the same target for substance use. And one of the reasons for the creation of this program was to make sure that we can't pull soldiers away from substance use, but we can create a program where we can involve the soldiers and make sure that they are consuming it safely, and that they're also being safe. Like a lot of times on our boss events that we have out of the city, we recently had our Dave and Buster's trip, and everyone knows that Dave and Buster's provide alcohol. And so our program still applies the Army regulation. We treat it as a duty day, 2 alcohol beverages max, just to make sure that our soldiers are safe, that they don't physically hurt themselves while they are with us. And so I feel that it is very important for us to really make aware to our soldiers that we care. And our mission statement states that our purpose is to enhance morale, not only morale, but wellness, and to make sure that our soldiers are okay physically and mentally. And so that also includes our program monitoring that substance use that the soldiers intake. We do see soldiers' constant use of vaping. I do see soldiers a lot. I run into them at the 24-hour PX, and, it's a Friday night, so of course they're going to go ahead and grab their cans and everything. But as long as they're being safe and as long as we can monitor them on a level that our program allows us to, I think that alcohol awareness and substance awareness is truly important for both of these programs.
And in my experience with a lot of soldiers and even the civilians here on the installation, most people don't understand what a standard drink is when it comes to alcohol. And normally a standard drink when it comes to a hard liquor of some sort is 1.5 ounces. Wine is usually 5 ounces, and then when it comes to beer, it's usually 12 ounces. And so here in the local area, if you go to any of the bars or pubs, you may buy one of those big margaritas that's got the big beer stuck in it. That's anywhere from 4 to 8 standard drinks that a person is drinking in that one setting. And so they're not aware of the alcohol content. If they're getting top shelf alcohol, that can put you in a drunk status really quickly. And most individuals, of course, go along with educating individuals about alcohol and drug abuse, making that decision to not drink and drive, being safe. And ma'am, it's just like what you said. We just want to show people that we care. We care about you enough to warn you about the dangers of all of this stuff because we want you to be around. And from an Army perspective, we really want to be able to protect the soldiers because they are our first line of defense. They're there to deploy and fight and win America's wars. And we want to try to save them so that they can enjoy life, enjoy their families, and be free of the harmful dangers that lurk around when we talk about alcohol and drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's vitally important to educate people about preventative measures as well as engaging, obviously illicit narcotics such as, methamphetamine, cocaine, other types of hard narcotics are always illegal. And as a soldier, obviously, you're prevented from using those based off of law and good order and discipline within the United States military. But, we sometimes forget to realize that alcohol is just as dangerous. And in fact is a contributing factor to more incidents than hard narcotics are. And what I used to see periodically in my last two careers, both a green suitor and a blue suitor, was I know my limit, or I know that when I'm good and when I'm not good. So I'm gonna roll that set of dice, and I'm gonna drive, or I'm gonna operate a military vehicle, or I'm gonna do something that I don't routinely do when under the influence. And without getting into the science of blood alcohol content within your blood, there is some people that do ingest alcohol more frequently and are more in tune for their body reacting to it. But just because you think you're okay, that BAC can definitely read over 0.08 and get you in trouble real quick. And if you're underage and consuming, if you're driving a vehicle, it's 0.0 that you can register before. If you register anything over that, you are still considered driving, or even DWI or DUI. So it also varies by state. There's some states that do DUI less safe, meaning that if the officer determines that you're impaired, you're drunk, and you will lose your career over a bad decision such as drinking and driving. We've seen it, and I think it's vitally important, like you said, is to educate and make sure people are aware of the dangers of doing so and can identify. And luckily, we have options too, right? We have such like Cavazos connectors now here. We can provide soldiers rides, and pretty soon it'll connect both off installation to on installation. So there's some amazing programs here that are going to prevent soldiers from running, and their families and DA civilians across the community. And Kenya, I'd like to get back to just talking about the EAP program, right? Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes when people think of assistance, right, they always say, well, I'm not a soldier, or hey, I'm a family member. I don't think these programs are available to me. So talk us a little about that.
Yeah, most of the time when people hear the Employee Assistance Program, they automatically think, oh, you're there to help me get a job. And basically, I make a pun out of it. I'm here to try to help people potentially save their jobs, DA civilian-wise. And when it comes to the family members, we're there to assist where you may be having some issues in your day-to-day life. It can be anywhere from drugs and alcohol to time management to stress, anything of that nature. You come to the EAP program, we are set up and designed to intake those individuals, try to help prepare a plan to help them get back on track. And it is short-term intervention type counseling, usually anywhere between 1 to 6 visits, depending on the nature of the situation is the reason why people come, and try to help people work through their issues. So once again, that your work-life balance is there, you're maybe free of stress, the workplace doesn't suffer anything and lose productivity. It's all about keeping things at a high state and helping people enjoy life.
I hear you. And I think that's exactly right. We operate in a continually high-stress environment, whether you're a DA civilian, a soldier, or a spouse or family member. And, the military life, no matter what suit you wear or what job you hold, is stressful. And it's human nature when we encounter stress is to find coping mechanisms to deal with said stress. Some play sports. Mm-hmm. I personally like jumping out of airplanes. That's kind of started back in my Army career, so I still do that now, whether it's skydiving or static line parachuting. But ultimately, the highest trend we see is immediately going to substances that alter a state of mind or reality that allow us to escape from stressors that we have in our daily lives. But as Corporal Harmon said, right, we have ways to educate and ways to do so responsibly. Whether it's educating someone on the dangers and some of the illicit items that are kind of in disguise, or even stuff that we can buy over the counter or on the shelf that prevent us from misuse or abuse of those items that can cause problems in our professional and our personal lives. What events? I mean, we got some pretty cool stuff happening, right? That we have Warrior Adventure Quest. We got some boss events coming up, and ASAP itself has some events. So let's talk about that. What's going on in the installation to help?
Of course, with April being Alcohol Awareness Month, Boss is working once again with the ASAP to host our annual Let's Get Crunk, Not Drunk alcohol awareness event. That is my personal favorite boss event aside from Single Soldier Fest for the year. So we are very excited about that. We are going to have ASAP there. We're going to have NFLAC there. We're going to have several other of our MWR and community partners there. We're going to have line dancing. We're going to have our very own mocktail bar, so soldiers can get that physical awareness of alcohol substance. And so we've got our mocktail bar as well. And line dancing, we're going to have a DJ, and we're also going to have alcohol awareness games, such as the VR drunk goggles.
Oh, man, those are always popular.
Oh, yes, very much. So our soldiers are very excited. We are very excited. So that's going to be April 12th starting at 11 o'clock. So our soldiers will have a chance to get out of the motor pool or get out of patient care or wherever they are that day, to go ahead and stop over by Boss headquarters, grab a free lunch. Lunch will be provided for the soldiers as well, and get some time to fellowship with other soldiers. That's one of our safest ways for any of our Boss events, to be able to get soldiers there. So very excited about that. So yes, that'll be April 12th at Boss headquarters, building 9212 Old Ironsides Avenue. We're right across from Sprocket.
Well, I might throw my OCPs back on, and I don't have my goatee anymore, so I think we're good to go. I'll blend right in.
All are welcome.
I just want to do the goggles again, because it's been a while since I did them.
The goggles are so much fun.
Yeah. I don't know. What events do you guys have coming up from ASAP aside from Crunk Not Drunk?
Just kind of caveat what Corporal Pritchard was saying. I'm just would like to say I'm just excited about being able to come together, join together with Boss. With this, because this is near and dear to me. I'm very passionate about trying to educate the soldiers and let them know there are fun ways to enjoy yourself, have fun without the alcohol being involved. So last year was the first, and I'm excited we were able to come together again. It's all about getting crunk, not getting drunk. And so I'm that event right there, I think is going to be a major event that others going to look at, like, how can we do the same thing? So I'm excited. So that's a major event. And beside that, what I have going on around the installation, April 4th, I will be at the Shoemaker Center. I will be just starting it off, just a static display, but I will be there. And I'm excited this year. I have my little selfie frame that I want soldiers, civilians, family members, who's ever in the Shoemaker Center, because it's like a one-stop shop. Come by, look at my table, ask questions, take a selfie frame, because one thing I am pushing out this in the month of April, the first week of April, alcohol-free. The 5th of April through the 7th of April, I'm pushing alcohol-free, which is the weekend. The reason why I'm pushing this, and I want those that are listening, commanders and alike, challenge your soldiers. Can you go 72 hours alcohol-free? And this is a telltale sign. If your soldier or individual cannot go 72 hours alcohol-free, then there's a problem. So this is why I'm pushing that. Let's be free and go alcohol-free. That's a little catchphrase I came up with. Let's be free and go alcohol. Let's be free and do alcohol-free that week. So I do have my selfie frames. That's April 4th. And then April 11th, I'll be at the Clear Creek PX Food Court. That's a big social area where you have family members alike come over there. So I'll be there April 11th at the Clear Creek Food Court. Also, April 18th, I'll be at the Soldier Development Center. And last but not least, April 25th at the Credamsey, the hospital. And all locations and times will be 10 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'll be there with displays, with giveaways, questions, having fun, and putting out information, educating the community about alcohol awareness.
Well, thank you, Linda. That's quite something. Be free and go alcohol free. That's a good point. At the end of the day, it's human behavior, and it's behaviors that we can ultimately put controls on. We do it all the time. We go to CTC rotations. When we go to deploy somewhere, obviously General Order Number 1 generally takes effect where alcohol is prevented, and there's a reason for that. But that's truly what it comes down to, and finding those healthy coping mechanisms that we can do. Even food can be a drug to some people, So it all comes down to developing a pattern or a method of coping that does not include dangerous behaviors. And I think the ASAP Boss program, as well as all these other great programs like Warrior Adventure Quest and other things, are doing some amazing things to prevent those dangerous behaviors, and it all starts with education. So where can we find these resources? Where can we look and actually find not only the information on these programs, but maybe even look at social media sometimes to find where we can participate in these events. I know that we, as the Garrison, will share all these events on social media, but is there a website that outlines what ASAP does? And we know Boss is all about Facebook and everything else, but what about ASAP?
Well, right now, currently, the ASAP Facebook page is going to be under construction, if you will. We're going to be revamping things. And so as soon as we can get that back up and get past the little barriers that we've been having, we'll be able to post that information on the ASAP webpage. For other information, I would suggest giving ASAP a call. If you're interested in any type of resources that we have, any type of trainings that are going on, just give us a call. We can definitely put you in the loop of everything that's going on. And once again, it's our honor and privilege to try to serve the DA civilians, the soldiers, the family members in this area, all in a prevention effort to help save people's lives from this harmful products that are out there.
Well, Corporal Pritchard Armor, you got anything else to add that you would like to highlight before we call it a day today?
For our single soldiers out here looking to find other events that they want to do with the single soldier population, you can always come over to Boss headquarters. As I said earlier, we are located at Building 9212 Old Ironsides Avenue. If you're interested on any updates on any events that we have coming up, you can always visit us there. We are open from 9 to 1800 Monday through Friday, closed on weekends unless we are, of course, hosting an event. You can always also find us on our website, cavazos.armymwr.com/boss.
Well, thank you all for coming, and thank you for giving us a rundown of the amazing things that ASAP, or the Army Substance Abuse Program, and the Better Opportunity for Single Soldiers, or otherwise known as BOSS, is doing here at the Great Place to ensure that our soldiers engage in healthy behaviors and have many options that they can choose from to find the dangerous ones that lurk in the shadows around the Central Texas community. I just want to say thank you again for allowing us to sit down and talk about these great things, and we look forward to seeing what comes up next. So don't forget, head over to Crunk Not Drunk and put on those goggles.
Yes.
Yeah, see what's happening.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming, and we'll talk with you all soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having us.
When new soldiers are assigned to your unit, get to know them. Show them around.
The exchange, health clinic, fitness center, whatever.
Encourage your soldiers to grab meals together and talk about their lives. Shared hardships and life experiences build cohesive teams with fewer instances of suicide, sexual assault, and drug abuse. And units that are ready for the fight.
Hey everybody, this is Samantha Harms with the Garrison Public Affairs Office, and it is April, so happy April everybody. And I'm so thrilled that we were able to have the folks from the ASAP and from BOSS come on and talk with everybody about all the wonderful things that we have going on, as well as things that people just need to know. So this week, it is a little different. It's just me. So you're going to have to listen to me talk about some things that are happening. Most important, it is April, like I just said, which means that we are officially, at this point, a week away from the total solar eclipse that is going to be happening here in Central Texas. And if you are unaware at this point, Bell County is anticipating that the Central Texas population will double, if not triple, for this eclipse. We are in the path of totality, which means at, I think, 1:30-ish, we are going to have a moment of darkness for almost 5 minutes, 4 minutes and like 16 seconds or something along those lines. It should be a very exciting moment. But, of course, with that, the Directorate of Emergency Services is recommending to people here in Central Texas to stock up on household essentials such as toilet paper, baby formula, non-perishable foods, and over-the-counter medicines. And the Commanding General here has approved placement of barriers and checkpoints in the training area for the Eclipse weekend. This means that some of the roads that are out in the training area will be closed. Most of the access points will have concrete barriers blocking those roads that lead onto installation property, so be prepared for that starting this coming weekend. Units will also occupy 3 checkpoints in the training area on Elijah Road, North Nolan Road, and North Fort Cavazos' 28th Street to check identification of all drivers and adult occupants trying to access the training areas. This also goes for the non-contiguous housing areas, as all but 3 will have gates that are actually closed. Any driver or adult occupant without a DoD ID card or valid visitor's pass will be denied access. Additionally, it is important to know all visitors who want to come on the installation must have a sponsor present to obtain a visitor's pass during that weekend. So if you are wanting to come on the installation for, to hang out with your friends or your family, or you have friends or family coming to visit you on the installation, it is recommended that you go get a visitor's pass as soon as possible and make sure you are with them to do that as a sponsor. Since it's also April, which is the month of the military child, the Fort Cavazos Exchange is going to host some free, fun, in-store events each Saturday now through May 4th to celebrate Month of the Military Child. Military children of all ages can enjoy free games and activities from noon until 2 p.m., participating in the complimentary events featuring products from popular toy brands. For more information on those upcoming events, you can either call 254-532-7200. I'll say that again, 254-532-7200, or visit their website, shopmyexchange.com/MOMC for Month of the Military Child. And last but not least, we want to remind people who are living on the installation that you can have your thoughts, opinions, concerns, feelings, whatever it may be, heard with the Tenant Satisfaction Survey. So this Army survey is incredibly important and is available now until April 18th. Feedback is important, like I just said, for both the Army as well as Cavalry Family Housing to improve the resident experience, as these results are used to develop action plans for improvement in the installation communities. They have taken this feedback and actually used it so your voices will truly be heard, and it's also completely confidential. So you should have already received, for people who live on the installation, you should have already received an email. It would come from Army Housing Survey at celassociates.com. Or you can find a QR code in the Fort Cavazos Sentinel where you can scan it and it will walk you through the process of making sure you've got it. If you have questions, though, you can always reach out to Fort Cavazos Housing at 254-287-4212. I'll say that again, 254-287-4212. So I know this is the point in the show where we usually talk about what's going on or how our weekends was or what's coming up this week. But I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you guys for continuing to listen to us. We really appreciate it. And of course, now we're coming out on Mondays, so we hope that this helps you guys give a little more time during your week to maybe listen. And if you haven't, make sure you remind friends, families, coworkers, soldiers, anybody who lives or works in this area who may benefit from listening to the podcast to give us a listen and to make sure to follow and subscribe. I think that's all we have. So again, thank you guys for listening, and make sure to tune in next week.
This podcast is a U.S. Army Garrison Fort Cavazos and Fort Cavazos Public Affairs production. Have a question or want to share some of your wisdom with us? Drop us an email at fortcavazos@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fort Cavazos Army. And as always, be sure to leave us a review